Hey, what's going on, you beautiful people? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, representing the squad, Team King of Games. And today I'm going to show you some combos, maybe some test hands once we get done with the combos and there's enough time left, with my ABC Invoked True Draco deck. People were asking about this, and after all the deck profiles that I got out of the way, all the requests and stuff, not all of them, but almost the ones that I have, I was like, we need to start doing the combo videos that everybody's been asking for. So this first combo is a 3-card combo. Basically, if you open up with Meltdown, Terraforming, Set Rotation, or Alistair himself, right? That's the first card. So let's just say Meltdown, for example. There's so many ways to get to Alistair. And then the next card, if you open up with Dragon's Ravine, Terraforming, Set Rotation, or Draco himself, right? So, like, let's just put the Draco there, right? Just for example. You're like, that. And then also the third card is going to be an A, B, or C. Any one of those pieces. It doesn't matter. So when you think of it, you have a lot of ways to get to these 3 cards. Like, it's an average bare minimum combo. You always open up with a combination of ways to get to these, because that's basically more than half the deck. Like, you have so many ways to get to this, it's crazy. So off of these 3 cards, you're going to make an insane board that if your opponent can't deal with, you're going to kill him next turn. You will activate Meltdown, add Alistair the Invoker from your deck to your hand. You will then normal summon Alistair in column number 3 and activate his effect to add Invocation directly from your deck to your hand. Then you'll proceed with the next step. You'll activate the Draco, paying half of your life points to summon him to the field. You will then synchro summon with him and Alistair to summon your Ancient Fairy Dragon in your extra monster zone. After that step, you will activate Ancient Fairy's secondary effect to destroy any number of field spells on the field and add a copy of a field spell from your deck to your hand while gaining 1,000 life points. The field spell that you're going to add is obviously Union Hanger. After you commence with that step, you're going to proceed to activate your Union Hanger and use its effect. And what you're going to do is you're going to add B directly from your deck to your hand. After you've resolved the search of Union Hanger, you will activate Ancient Fairy's other effect, and you're at 5,000 life points, to special summon B in column number 3. And activate Union Hanger's effect to equip C directly from your deck to your hand. You would then commence with the Link Summon for a Link 2 monster. And when this card is legal, this is the Link 2 that you actually want to go for first, Underclock Taker. Just in case you get interrupted mid-combo, you can still put either Invoke Makaba or Buster, depending on whether you can make them still or not, in that extra monster zone to still get you somewhat of a field. But if you get no interruption, you're going to win. So you're going to summon a Link 2. I'm just going to use Proxy for example. And on separate chain links, you have B and C. So the situation is, it just depends what it calls for. If you do not have an A in hand, you're going to have to call B chain link 2, C chain link 1, so that you can search out that A and special it to the field. And since we already have A on the field, we don't really need to worry about that. I mean, A in hand, we don't need to worry about that. But keep in mind, you always have to have a piece in hand. Even though it's private knowledge, you should be fair to your opponent by keeping a piece in hand if you try to do this combo. In technical terms, you could resolve the BS Chainlink 2 and CS Chainlink 1 without a piece in hand because it is private knowledge, but that is not a fair playing, and you just want to be fair to your opponent. You know, you just don't want to do them like that. So since we already have the A in hand, we're just going to call C Chainlink 2 and B Chainlink 1 to protect it from whatever would stop it. And then we could special summon the A. Again, we're going to put it in column number 2 this time. And then B resolves as Chainlink 1, which will search us just another C. Matter of fact, it'll search us another B. We'll keep A and C in our deck because those are the better cards to equip off of Union Hanger anyways. And then, like you thought, we're going to summon the Decode Talker directly from our extra deck by Link Summoning yet again. We have an option to use A's effect to add the B from grave to hand. But I don't think that that's really necessary because you're going to have to use the invocation and dump it into the grave anyways. So that will be pointless uses of effects, seeing how we need to keep the pieces in grave. Granted, yes, invocation can dump it from your hand, so you'll still get the Buster. So there's no point in activating A's effect. You'll proceed to banish these 3 pieces and summon out your ABC Dragon Buster in column number 3. And what you're going to put in column number 1 or column number 5, if the Decode Talker was over here, is you're going to put your Invoked Mechaba. You'll activate an invocation, banishing Alistair and the Ancient Fairy Dragon, or the Proxy, whichever one, from your graveyard, and you're going to summon Invoked Mechaba. Now invocation will go to the grave after it's fully resolved. You will activate its effect, shuffling itself into the deck for the cost of activation. And you will target a banished Alistair and add it to your hand. So your ending board is Deco Talker, Mechaba, ABC Dragon Buster, and you also have Hanger to equip. When you look at it in terms of card economy, 3 cards have gotten you 3 boss monsters, in addition to a free field spell that's going to give you more pressure on the board. And also keep in mind that when you started with 3 cards, you end with 2. So you have 2 other cards in hand. So when you think of it, you've paid 1 card from your 5-card hand to make these 3 boss monsters. And also when you look at this is a plus, this is a plus, this is a plus, and this is a plus. Because naturally all these monsters require multiple resources to make. So you can look at this board as a +3, right? And you still have you're still missing 1 card in hand. That's why it's not a +4. It's a really insane board. And depending on what the situation calls for, that's when you're going to tag out Buster. That'll also determine which piece to equip. Also keep in mind that these 2 monsters have synergy with the A, B, and C pieces, meaning that you can equip A or B or C to either one of these monsters to make them unaffected by either monsters, spells, or traps, which allows you to play through cards like Baguska and Time Pendulum Graph and also Spiral Sleeper. And B would only be for when your opponent sacks you with one of the 3 legal board wipes that are all at 1. That is combo number 1. It's really, really powerful and it puts a lot of pressure. This board, naturally, if your opponent knows that he can't out it, they'll normally scoop because they don't want to waste the time of even trying to play through it, knowing that they can't break the board. Now, combo number 2 is a bit more sophisticated because it's going to end on the same board, but it's going to be able to play through evenly matched, which is a problem for this deck since it opens up pretty insane, right? So it's very, very similar to how you just open up. Any of your ways to get to Alistair, any of your ways to get to Destrudo, you play 3, 6, 7, 9 ways to get to Destrudo. So that's 1/4 of your deck. You play 3, 5, 8, 9, 10 ways to get to Alistair. So that's 1/4 of your deck. And then you also play 3, 4, 7, 13 ways to get to A, B, C, or B. So that's more than 1/4 of your deck. Basically, almost all of your deck is just these combos because these combos are great for first turn boards. So you'll have these, and the added card is actually just going to be a terraforming, set rotation, or a diagram. But it's going to be the same 3 cards plus a diagram, and you'll see exactly why we're actually going to use the diagram. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to start with step number 1, which will be normal summoning Alistair, or playing set rotation, right? So let's say, for example, I said set rotation. So let's say, for example, we have, you know, a terraforming or a meltdown, which is even better. So that way you don't have to play diagram, use this effect to search, and then blow it up. You'd much rather play it like towards the middle of the combo because you'll have better cards to pop. Granted, yes, you can still play it. You can still pop Destrudo from your hand and special summon it from the grave. So keep in mind that it doesn't change anything if you don't have Meltdown. I just like Meltdown because it's better to start off with than it is than Alistair himself, because it gives you a free field spell. Then you'll normal summon your Alistair and you'll go ahead and you'll search out your invocation. After you perform that step, very similar to combo number 1, you're going to activate Destrudo. I'm just going to put him right at the bottom of my deck because that's where he's supposed to go after you use his effect. And summon Ancient Fairy. Keep in mind when activating Destrudo's effect, if you do not put him at the bottom of your deck, you can get either a warning or you can actually get a game loss for an irreparable and also unreversible game state, which means that Destrudo has been in your graveyard and it should have been shuffled into your deck, which would change the cards that you would draw. So if it gets to that point, you've lost the duel because you didn't pay attention to that one little step. So I always put them at the bottom of the deck, even before I like synchro summon. I didn't even put them on the field if you notice. I just slapped them right there so you remember. Then you'll activate Ancient Fairy, you destroyed Meltdown, and then you're going to go ahead and add, you know it, the Union Hanger. Now, one of this deck's beneficial accoutrements is that it takes full advantage of field spells and uses them to generate insane powerful boards. Now, another thing is, even without the field spells simply search cards that you already play in your deck. So without the field spells, you can still make really, really powerful boards, which, for example, if you open up with the way to make Masterpiece with the spells and simply a couple A, B, or C pieces, you can actually make a first turn Masterpiece in ABC Dragon Buster without utilizing any of your field spells. But because 15 of the cards in your deck are actually field spells, you open up with at least 1 or 2 every single first turn. And the next step here is you're going to go ahead and activate the, I believe, is it Dragonic Diagram? No, it's still not Diagram yet. You're going to activate the Union Hanger, and you're going to use this effect to search, you already know, the B. Or depending on which piece you have in your hand, that'll determine which one you want to equip. But normally I like to search B. and then activate Ancient Fairy's other effect to special summon the bee. Keep in mind, you already gained 1,000 life points, so you have 5. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Then you use Union Hanger's effect, and you're going to equip C directly from your deck to your Speller Trap zone. So I guess it matters where you put it. You don't want to put it in the same column. Mech Knights do exist. So we'll put this over here in column number 1. Since Ancient Fairy is in column number 2 and this is in column number 3, a field spell is not even in a column. So now that you've performed that that unique step. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't play it in the reverse. So you're supposed to search the C and actually special summon the C and equip the B. I'm sorry that I messed up that small step, just changing up what you search. And you'll special summon the C and equip B with the Union Hanger. Then what you're going to do is link summon. And you're going to summon the, where's he at? The Proxy Dragon. And then on separate chain links, you have B and C, right? So it doesn't really matter since you already have A in hand, but if you didn't, it would matter. So I guess we'll go B chain link 2, C chain link 1, right? If they had an Ash, they already would have used it on Alistair, which doesn't actually hurt that much because you still get to make Decode Buster and possibly a Masterpiece, depending on what the other cards in your hand are. So it's pretty awesome. And at this point, we're going to search out another copy of B. And C's effect will special summon that B, just to extend a little bit, right? Then you'll link summon, and you're going to summon your Decode Talker, which you pretty much make every first turn. And then B's effect will trigger, which will search you a copy of C from your deck to your hand. I like to keep an A in my deck because I normally like to equip A to one of the monsters, simply to make it unaffected by monsters. If my opponent happens to have a very, very powerful monster that could destroy all my monsters, I would like to keep one of my pieces safe by being unaffected, and then my opponent would have to destroy that monster twice just to clear my field, which is pretty cool. So you search that out. So you back to 4 cards in hand, which is really, really cool. What you're going to do after this step is you're going to activate your Dragonic Diagram. You will then use this effect to destroy A, which was the Mrs. piece that we need, and you're actually going to search one of your True Draco trap cards. Why 3 stacks are you searching a random trap card when you can't use it? You'll see exactly why towards the end of this combo, why we even do this. And normally when I open it with the diagram in the same 3-card combo, which is easy to open up with, I normally use my diagram in this step, in this sequence, for a reason that you will see very, very soon. You'll proceed to summon your ABC Dragon Buster from your extra deck by putting him in column number 3. I always like to put him in column number 3 and Mecha Butt in column number 1. There's a difference between where you put the Buster indeed, and the reason why I don't put Mecha Butt in column number 3 is because when I tag out with my Buster, I want to put one of the A, B, or C pieces in column number 3 on purpose. I have my own reasons for doing that. So you summon your Buster, you'll proceed to activate Invocation, and you'll banish your Alistair and any light monster from your graveyard. So let's say Ancient Fairy yet again. You'll proceed to summon Invoked Macabre in your extra monster zone that's provided to you by Decode Talker. Shuffling this for cost, you're activating Invocation's effect to add Alistair. So yes, it is a 4-card combo. It actually is just the same combo with a way to get Diagram. So you can have a Terraforming, a Set Rotation, a Diagram itself, or the traps that you do play in the deck. And it ends on the same board, but the difference is you now have 3 cards off of it, which, you know, it basically is a 3-card combo. But the major difference is with this trap in hand, Invoke Macabre can negate, you already guessed it, Evenly Matched, which would be the only card that would actually break this board. There's no other card that I can think of. Spiral Sleeper would not destroy enough. And also keep in mind that anything that gets summoned has to deal with the ABC Dragon Buster. And Spiral Sleeper would probably just get negated by Decode. I think what I would do is I'd probably preemptively tag out the ABC Dragon Buster as soon as I see he's in trouble. And I'll go ahead and summon these pieces right here. And I like to put A in column number 3 because I love to use his effect a lot. And you'll go ahead and put your pieces, you know, in this order and sequence. So once you tag out your Buster, you have more and easy fodder to use for your Decode to negate a targeting card. And also keep in mind that if your opponent wants to evenly match you, seeing that you tagged out, you can discard this trap for cost to negate the activation of evenly matched and banish the card, which is really, really absurd and powerful. The fact that this deck can play around evenly matched without having a Tri-Gate Wizard or a Naruto, the Moral Leader, which makes this deck a lot more competitive than people think, because the one card that would be able to beat it, this deck can actually answer to that well. As well as Spiral Sleeper and Baguska and Time Pendulum Graph all lose to this board simply because Decode can attack over Baguska, and the A, Bs, and Cs will make another link that can still attack over Baguska. Spiral Sleeper cannot target any of your cards, and also if they didn't have an evenly matched, Mechaba would just negate and banish him. In addition to all of that, did I name the 3? What's another good boss monster that would probably try to? Let's say, for example, if there was a Borlo Dragon there, Borlo Dragon could take maybe a monster if I let him and don't negate his effect, because you can activate a negation in the damage step. You can activate an attack or defense modulator, and also a negation. In addition to that, you can activate the effects of cards that would be destroyed. At the start of the damage step is when flip effect monsters would activate if they're being flipped face up. And those are all the things you can do in damage step if you didn't know. That concludes the combo tutorial. Every other combo still ends with the same board. I just wanted to show you guys how you do it. But this deck is to make that board. And I'll go right back to where we were, because naturally, when I was testing with this deck, this board did not get outed. So what ends up happening here, if we go back to where we were, right? And you have a piece in hand. What ends up happening here is when Buster tags out and summons the A, B, and C, your opponent has so much pressure now because he has to break this board and still OTK you. That is the thing. When you set up like this, your opponent has no choice but to OTK you, or you will OTK him. So when you open up with this, you give your opponent 1 turn to play, which is very crucial and vital. And granted, he does get an extra card. You have negations on board to deal with a lot of his cards. And so if this board lives, the cool thing is next turn you can do a whole lot, right? So you'll draw your card. It doesn't really matter. You can proceed to link summon depending on which pieces you want to use. You can use, for example, B and C. And you'll go ahead and summon out your Akashic Magician, or for this case, let's say Underclock Taker is legal, or you can summon the second Proxy Dragon, right? You have a lot of options. So you put Proxy Dragon there. You have separate chain links of B and C. B will be chain link 2 because you're gonna want another A, right? And then C will special summon the A. What you can actually do here, which is really, really cool, is you can equip one of these A's to Invoked Mechaba, which is really powerful. Or you can summon your Buster first and then put an A equipped to Invoke Mechaba. But what you can do after that is you can banish these pieces and you can proceed to summon another ABC Dragon Buster. And you have not normal summoned for turn. So what happens now is you normal summon your Alistair over there in column number 5. You add a copy of Invocation directly from your deck to your hand. Again, you activate Invocation, banishing the Buster, which is pretty much useless at this point, and banishing the Alistair. Or you can link summon with the Alistair and the Decode, or you can honestly, like, it's crazy, like, you can do a lot. Like, you could have summoned the C instead of the A, right? You know, did some crazy stuff. You can actually make Skull Deep, which is really cool. But you'll normal Alistair, you activate the Invocation, you'll banish these, you'll go ahead and summon another copy of Mechaba. So Proxy Dragon is probably the smarter choice. You'll use the Invocation, you'll add Alistair back to hand. Like, you're keeping the same cards in hand. Like, it's crazy. Like, you're making free stuff. And what gets even cuter at this point is you can go ahead and overlay these. I probably wouldn't put it in Decode Talker's zone just because, like, I don't know. Like, these are your options to tribute and negate. I don't know. Like, maybe it's smarter to put it in Proxy Dragon's zone. Because I'd rather Proxy Dragon destroy Calamities than Buster. Because, Calamities, once he puts his effect, even if he leaves the field, you're still under Calamities. The point of making Calamities is just to use his effect. So once you use his effect, Proxy Dragon can destroy this card to negate, and then to protect your cards from being destroyed. Then Decode Talker can tribute him off to negate. And it's pretty impressive that turn 1, you make Decode Talker, Buster, and Mechaba, and turn 2, you can make True King of all Calamities, Proxy Dragon, ABC Dragon Buster, and Decode. And it just so happens that Buster Dragon is no longer under Decode Talker, which means that you don't have to worry about him being sacrificed. And that pretty much concludes the combo video. I hope you guys did enjoy this. Keep in mind that some of these combos are a little bit extensive and they can get kind of complicated sometimes, but not really. And also that there are no real 2-card combos in this deck except for maybe Union Hanger and a Dragon's Ravine. Like, that 2-card combo, Union Hanger and Dragon's Ravine, or Union Hanger and Destrudo will actually get you a Decode Talker and ABC Dragon Buster. I think that's the only 2-card combo of the deck. But for more or less, every combo is a 3-card combo. I'm sorry, that we're not Spirals and we're not Zodiacs. But Pendulum Magicians, keep in mind, only have really 3-card combos as well. Their 2-card combos are very, very mediocre and subpar. So that's pretty much the combo video, and we're going to do another one for my Red Eyes deck. So stay tuned, y'all, if you have the time. And if not, check it out later on in the middle of the day when you have the free time. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. And stay tuned for future content. Peace out.